There's a special kind of trust that exists between friends who grew up together. It's a bond forged in scraped knees, shared secrets, and the unshakable belief that you'll always have each other's backs. For me, Alex, and my three best friends, Mark, Sarah, and Chloe, that bond was crystallized in a single, stupid childhood ritual. We called it the Pact of the Crimson Vow. We were 14, drunk on the drama of a horror movie we'd just seen. We pricked our thumbs with a safety pin, pressed them together over a handwritten note, and swore that no matter what, we would always be honest with each other, and that we would never let greed or ambition come between us. We signed the note in our own smeared blood. I forgot about it for 15 years. But something else didn't. My name is Alex, and I'm the only one left who can tell you about the legend of the Pact-Breaker and the terrible, literal price of breaking a vow made in blood. We'd all gone our separate ways after high school, but life, in its strange way, brought us back together in our hometown. Mark became a real estate developer, hungry and ambitious. Sarah, a brilliant and driven lawyer. Chloe, a talented but struggling artist. And me, I ran a small, barely breaking even bookstore. Mark had a vision, a high-end boutique hotel that would revitalize the old town square. He needed investors. He came to us. "This is it, guys," he'd said, his eyes gleaming with a light I didn't fully recognize at the time. Our pact of the Crimson Vow. Our chance to make it, together. We pooled our resources. I mortgaged my bookstore. Chloe used her entire inheritance. Sarah invested her savings. Mark, as the managing partner, would handle the finances. The project was a nightmare from the start: delays, cost overruns, arguments. The stress began to fray our friendship. But we held on, clinging to that childhood promise. Then the project was completed. It was an instant, stunning success. We were supposed to be rich, but the payments never came. Mark would give us excuses: tax holdups, accounting delays, reinvestment needs. Sarah, with her legal mind, grew suspicious. She did some digging. What she found shattered us. Mark had used a complex web of shell companies and legal loopholes to cut us out. He had siphoned off the profits, leaving us with nothing but debt and a mountain of legal fees. He had broken our pact. He had chosen greed over a 20-year friendship. The confrontation was ugly. It was in the penthouse suite of the very hotel we built. "It's just business," Mark said, his voice cold and foreign. "I took the real risks. I deserve the real rewards." He tore up a copy of our original business agreement in front of us. As the pieces fluttered to the floor, the air in the room grew heavy and cold. A strange smell filled the space, a scent of old parchment, dry ink, and something coppery, like blood that had long since dried. That's when we heard it. A soft, rhythmic click-clack sound, like a typewriter key being struck, followed by the smooth slide of a pen on paper. It came from the corner of the room, where the shadows seemed to deepen and congeal. A figure stepped forward. He was impeccably dressed in a pinstripe suit from a bygone era, his posture rigid and perfect. But his skin was not skin. It was parchment. Yellowed, brittle paper, covered in the fine, cursive script of legal clauses and contractual jargon that shifted and writhed just beneath the surface. His eyes were not eyes, but the glowing red lenses of an old-fashioned camera, and they focused on each of us with a dispassionate, recording gaze. His smile was a row of tiny, sharpened brass tacks. In one hand, he held a massive leather-bound ledger. In the other, a long, wicked-looking fountain pen with a nib that gleamed like a razor. This was the Pact-Breaker, the auditor of broken promises. He didn't look at Sarah, Chloe, or me. His entire attention was fixed on Mark. He opened the ledger. The pages were not paper. They were stretched human skin, and on them, written in a dark, rusty ink, was the text of our childhood Crimson Vow, and below it, the terms of our business agreement. Marcus James Holloway. The Pact-Breaker's voice was the dry rustle of turning pages, the crisp snap of a broken seal. You have been found in breach of contract. The penalty, as stipulated, is payable immediately. In full. Mark backed away, his face a mask of terror and disbelief. What is this? Who are you? This is a trick. The creature's tack-filled smile widened. The terms were agreed upon, signed in blood. He advanced. Mark tried to run, but his feet seemed nailed to the floor. The Pact-Breaker gestured with his pen, and Mark's suit jacket and shirt tore open, revealing the skin of his chest. The script on the creature's own body began to glow, and the same text, the clauses of his betrayal, began to appear on Mark's skin, burning themselves into his flesh like a brand. Please, I'll give them the money. I'll give them everything. Mark screamed. The time for payment plans has passed, the Pact-Breaker intoned. Then he uncapped his pen. It wasn't filled with ink, but with a thick, dark, viscous liquid that smelled of iron. He pressed the nib to Mark's chest, right over his heart. Mark let out a scream that wasn't a sound of pain, but of profound existential violation. The Pact-Breaker began to write, slowly and deliberately, forcing Mark's hand to sign his own name on the branded contract now seared into his skin. As he wrote, he wasn't using ink. He was withdrawing blood. It flowed up the nib and into the pen. Mark's screams turned to wet, choking gurgles as his body desiccated, his skin pulling tight over his bones, his eyes sinking into their sockets. The Pact-Breaker was literally collecting the blood debt. When he was done, Mark collapsed into a dry, papery husk, a signature scrawled beneath his ribcage. The Pact-Breaker turned his camera lens eyes to the three of us, cowering together. He assessed us, the ledger still open. I felt him reading the fine print of my soul, seeing every minor white lie, every broken promise I'd ever made. He lingered on me, and for a second, I saw my own signature forming in the ledger's ink. But then, he snapped the book shut. The primary debtor has been settled, he rustled. The co-signers are cautioned. With that, he turned and walked back into the deepening shadows, vanishing as if he'd never been there. The cold lifted. The smell faded. All that was left was us, and the horrifying, mummified remains of our oldest friend. The official report? Acute dehydration and a massive simultaneous systemic organ failure. A medical anomaly. They don't understand the first thing about contractual obligations. The Pact-Breaker is real. He is the cosmic enforcer of promises made with true intent, especially those sealed in blood. He doesn't care about legal technicalities. He cares about the spirit of the agreement, the betrayal. So before you make a vow, before you sign a contract, before you give your word, know this: the universe keeps a ledger. And for every broken promise, there is a collector. He waits in the quiet moments after a betrayal, his pen poised, ready to balance the books in the oldest currency known to man. I post this as a warning. Be careful what you promise. And be even more careful what you break. Because the Pact-Breaker considers every case, and his judgment is always, always final.